First, my friend, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. Were you performing last night, or was something else going on last night?
No, I wasn't performing last night.
No, because we were talking before, and you were like, the throat and everything else. I guess a lot of rehearsing or whatever.
The flu hit me like a rock at the worst timing possible.
What happened, man?
That's what Murphy's Law happened. That's what happened.
I always say this, that if you were like in construction, it'd be your arms or something like that. If you were a mailman, it's your legs. What happens? It's the throat that's got it.
Luckily, it's not the throat, and it's no cough. It's just I feel like a train hit me.
Wow. Well, what do you got to do to take care of yourself, man? Because really, I mean, your vocals and everything else, that's your power, man.
Sleep is your number one friend. That's steam room. A good steam room is key.
Well, look, the fact that you're not feeling well, you still came down to do this interview. I really appreciate it.
I had to meet you, man.
I had to meet you, man, because I love your music. It's like we were talking beforehand. I'm going, man, you got this R&B, soul, like EDM, pop. Like it's so hard to describe. But I think with a lot of people, when they hear your music, they're going to be going, this guy's Canadian, really? Because they think you're from England or Europe or something like that. You have to hear those kind of things.
It's funny because you just pointed out like kind of everything I'm going for. And I mean, my influences are like my background. I grew up in Israel, so I have a lot of culture from there with like Middle Eastern music. And my dad, his British background. So I kind of take it, and my influences range from all different artists. So I kind of pull it from a ton of different places. That's for sure.
Well, let's take it from the beginning then, man. You just kind of moved into that section, with the family and everything else. But you're a Torontonian, though.
I am, yeah, yep.
Okay, so when did this whole music thing begin for you? Let's go for day one.
Day one was probably, I was actually hospitalized for anxiety when I was really young. And I found that the only thing that I felt good with to deal with the anxiety was music. And music was kind of my vice, my biggest vice, and still is. And that's really kind of what got me started with it.
That's amazing, because with music, you can either play music by yourself, or for a lot of other people, and what you're doing now, you play for an audience. So how did that come into effect? I mean, were you just doing stuff yourself? Were you writing yourself? Were you playing instruments yourself? How?
It was, I started playing guitar. My dad, taught me kind of how to sing a little bit. He was in an 80s rock band back in the day called Roman Gray. And they were pretty big in Canada, and I always used to see him in the band rehearsing in the basement, and I was like, I want to do that. And for me, it just started open mics. I started writing some songs, playing covers. I'd go play these open mics, and I just got to get a ton of really good attention, and I kind of feeded on that attention, and that, that feedback I was getting really boosted me to make me keep going.
Did your dad ever say, don't do this, man? Like what I've gone through, don't do it?
He said, don't take rolled up tinfoil from anybody, but he never said he never said don't do it. My parents are very supportive, and my grandparents I live with here are very supportive of what I do, and it's a blessing because it motivates me more. Yeah,
it's a blessing for us, man, because we're getting this music. So what kind of music were you writing back then? What kind of songs, and what was influencing you then, other than your dad?
Well, my brother also is a musician. He was a huge John Mayer fan. Is a huge John Mayer fan. And when I heard Continuum, that album, for the first time, I was like, I gotta do this. I gotta be this dude. And then it kind of evolved. I started writing with my brother. I wrote by myself. And I became the singer-songwriter-y thing with the guitar and that kind of stuff. And then it just evolved from there.
But we were talking again before all this. You kind of mentioned that country music kind of sunk in before the sound that we've got now.
Yeah, I fell in love with country. I don't remember what concert I saw, but it was Zac Brown Band. I came to Toronto because I was living in Tel Aviv in Israel at the time, and I came into Toronto and I saw Zac Brown Band with a friend of mine. I was like, yeah, country music.
And I guess was that the Molson Amphitheater?
Yeah.
I was backstage interviewing them.
Really? Yeah, that was a while ago though. Yeah. So that was amazing. When I saw them, I was like, oh, God, now I want to be a country artist. So it's kind of like that first point of your career where you're like kind of figuring out really, because I love all genres of music. I love punk rock, and I was just trying to figure out what I really wanted to do. I'm still figuring that out, but I have a little bit of a better idea now.
But it sounds like, because one of the things I always say that's great about country music is they tell great stories, and it sounds like that's where you were kind of, the path you were following.
For sure. So my first single, Keep My Sweater, was actually very country influenced. If you listen to it, it's got that big pop energy, but there's the country vibes in there. And I think the storytelling of that song is very country.
I had a chance to listen to that song, and I watched the video too, and I thought to myself, I don't think I've ever heard a dude ever write a song about a sweater. Mostly it's women that do that, but not guys who do that. Talk a little bit about the story behind that.
The story behind that is it was the same relationship that I tried is from, and it was just, you know, like we went through so much together, and she held on to that one little piece of you that, you know, you still had, that was with her still. And I still cared about her 100%, and that was kind of like the one like memento, which there's a lyric in the song that I left for her to kind of, hopefully she'd remember me when she looked how much I did care about her. Yeah, that's kind of where it came from, for sure.
You realize after everybody watches this interview, guys are gonna be going out going, baby, look, hold on to my sweater, all right? You know,
I
don't.
have that already. Oh, Aiden, keep my sweater. I'm like, yeah, I know. I wrote it.
But here's the thing, but there was that transformation that you started going to what we talked about with that R&B soul kind of thing. You were writing with other people too, and you wrote for other people also.
I haven't written for other people, mostly writing for myself. I'd love to start writing for other people, but right now I'm focusing on building my own repertoire up. But I've been working with a really talented guy named Mike Belinkie, and he's a really talented songwriter. And I've always wanted to do, I thought Keep My Sweater was great. I thought it was a little too much. I was trying to kind of, I wasn't confident enough yet with my vocals where I was like cool with kind of being like, you know, dumb it down, you know, because a lot of today's pop is very simple. And that's kind of what I wanted. A little less of that and a little more of this, which is kind of what I was going for.
Is that what we have right now with this new single?
Yeah, I think so.
Talk a little bit about that, please.
I mean, I Tried is a very...
Sorry, the single is, of course.
The single is I Tried,
Yeah.
And it's out now everywhere. And it was, it's a very personal song because it comes from like the fact that in this relationship, the song is about that feeling when you're with someone and they're not sure of what they're feeling. And they're giving you this like half-ass answer of like, oh, I don't know. And you're just like wondering in your head going crazy. Like, you know, I did basically all I can. It was up to her at the end of the day. And that's where I Tried came from, is because that's ultimately what I did.
That's a lot of power, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of power for all the people involved in this. But what I found musically and lyrically, too, it's ghostly, man. You can literally see the waves on that. What was it like writing that song for you? Again, lyrically and musically, too. That song came from writing a bridge for a different song. And that different song was super like up-tempo and like poppy and happy. And we just wrote this kind of like slow kind of versing, and we were like, nah, that's too cool to be a bridge. And we just ended up writing that song with it. Does it surprise you now, man, when you hear yourself? Because you probably hear this too, man. What you hear and who you see, people are probably going, no, man, those things don't connect here.
Yeah, my personality is kind of very, I wouldn't say all over the place, but people don't see that vulnerable side of me in my everyday life. That's why when I release these songs, it hits me. It's not like me just releasing a song. When I release it and I hear it publicly, it's different from when I've heard it the 8,000 other times I heard it in the studio. Because it's me knowing that other people are hearing exactly what I was thinking at the time.
And do people come to you, even dudes, do they come to you and go, look, man, I don't want anybody to know, but thank you for writing that because that's how I was feeling?
Yeah, 100%. I've had that a lot. I've had that a lot recently. So and it feels great. It feels great.
Can we get more music? So is there going to be an EP or album or anything like that's coming up in the future?
Yeah, so right now I think we're looking at releasing one more single in the winter times, probably late January. Actually, I have a song coming out with an EDM duo that I wrote for and then ended up singing on the track. So that's coming out, great song. That's coming out in mid to end January, and then we're probably looking at February or March for the next single.
What about tour-wise? Are you going to do maybe select shows or anything like that?
I think a tour, like a full-fledged tour, will come more when I release an EP, because I do want to release an EP, because an EP is, for me, is something just you can grasp onto. Singles are great, but they're kind of lost and saturated by every other single that's out there. An EP is kind of a way for you to really express all your music.
I'm going to put the pressure on you too, man. Any chance we can see you in Vancouver for the Juno Awards and maybe any showcases, or as the upcoming Canadian Music Week? next year, or any of those big festivals or shows that are coming up?
Well, I'll tell you this: I have a great management team behind me, and I'm sure they're looking into that. I would love to. I would love to seize every opportunity you can.
We need you there, man. We need you there. For folks who want to follow you, social media, where do we go for this?
I'm on Spotify, Facebook, and Instagram at Ada Myers Music. Yeah, find me there. I love interacting and talking with you guys. So yeah, find me there.
Look, my friend, thank you so much for doing this interview. Get to Vancouver, man. I want to do another interview down there.
I've never been to Vancouver. I'd love to go regardless.
Neither have I. So this would be a great thing for both of us.
Together. We can fly together.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much.
For sure. Thank you.